What's going on, boys and girls? All right, man, I think I am recording. Real quick, I watched, I made a video a while ago and I erased it, but I want to do it again for whatever reason. Flat Earth. How many of you have seen the big debate about flat Earth? Do you believe it or not? Do you think the Earth is round? Do you think it's flat? Okay, let's look at a couple things here, man. Real quick. Just gonna try to wing this. Uh, First off, with your own eyes, do you feel like you're on a ball that's spinning 1,000 miles per hour? Because that's what they claim. Number one, here's one thing to take into consideration. Whatever your government tells you, whatever NASA tells you, whatever is underneath a branch, whatever is a branch of the government, don't believe it. Okay, you don't follow the Pope. You don't follow your governments. You don't follow all these people that are running the world, because that's why people go to hell. Because look around you. You got all these people. I'm just going to drift off here for a second, guys. You got all these people worshiping the Queen of England and this Prince Harry and his little baby boy and all these bloodsuckers is what I call them, guys, because they don't work and they suck all the money out of people and people worship them. These people walk down the street and people fall on their face, crying their eyes out for some godly reason. They worship these people. Okay, now why I drifted off to that, I have no idea. But let's get it out. Okay, but don't listen to these people. Don't worship these people. Don't follow your governments. Don't follow churches. Don't follow the Pope. You follow Jesus, man. This is why people are going to hell, because you're being led astray by institutions and governments and world leaders, and you're putting your hope and your trust, instead of putting your hope and your trust into God. This is where many make mistake. You're following Joel Osteen, you're following all these other prosperity preachers, you worship these people and give them all your money. Good God, Lord, pray for these people, man. Anyway, back to flat Earth. Okay, so NASA and your government's telling you you're living on a ball that's spinning 1,000 miles an hour. Has to be so much gravity to hold all this water down. Okay, so supposedly the water is just sucked onto the Earth. If you were to take a basketball or any kind of ball and spin it at a high rate of speed and pour water on it, what's going to happen? That water is going to fling off. It's not going to stay on a ball even if you're not spinning the ball. So how do all the oceans and all the lakes and all the rivers, does it make sense to you that they're on a flat surface, or does it make sense to you that they're on a ball? Okay, that's one thing to think about right there, guys. What makes more common sense? Okay, now, here's another thing. If you're on an Earth that is spinning 1,000 miles an hour, tell me something. That is 7 miles per minute. The other day I was driving my car and there's this big fluffy cloud right above me. Now, I could have stopped the car and sat there and watched that cloud. Okay? And after an hour, maybe 2 hours, that cloud would still be there. Okay, so if I'm attached to a ball that's spinning 7 miles per minute, okay, that cloud should almost disappear within what? 5 minutes? That's 35 miles I just traveled. Okay? So now, bear with me. So if the cloud isn't moving after, let's say, an hour, okay, it's in the same spot, what does that tell you? That tells you that either that cloud is being dragged with the Earth some way or another, or the Earth isn't spinning. Okay, that it's stationary, that cloud is up there and there's no wind. Okay, speaking of wind, let me get to that. Okay, so in other words, that's what it tells you, that cloud is stationary and it is not moving. Okay, then you are not spinning. Okay, 35, 40, 100 miles away from that cloud. Okay, because here's the deal, guys. Let me ask you something now real quick. If I'm 100 miles away from someplace and there's a cloud above that 100 miles, let's say down at the end of the state of Illinois where I live. Let's go a couple hundred miles. There's clouds down there that I can't see right now. Okay? because they're 100 miles away. But if the Earth is spinning and I'm attached to the Earth, I should be able to see that cloud within so many minutes because I'm gonna spin with the Earth under the cloud. Okay, you guys following me on this? So apparently, the clouds must be being dragged with the Earth, but now that's impossible because why? Let me tell you something. Some days the clouds go this way. Some days they go that way. Some days they go nowhere. Some days they go north, south, east, or west. Okay, so you can't say that the Earth is dragging the clouds. In fact, scientists tell us that the winds that are real high up, I can't remember the name of those, or any winds for a matter of fact, sometimes they go north, sometimes they go south, sometimes they go east, sometimes they go west. Trying to think of the winds that are way, way up high that are really strong. But anyway, I guess they travel all directions. So if the Earth is spinning, you think it would have some kind of force that's dragging them winds in the same direction all the way around. And instead now they go the opposite way. Sometimes they go this way. Sometimes they're not blowing at all. Take a look at a tree, okay? If the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour, some days you think the tree would be bending back a little bit, a big tall tree like a redwood even. Okay, some days that tree would be bending back a little bit and the leaves would be blowing a certain way each time, but that's not the case. Okay, there are days that tree is blowing this way, that way. Some days it's not blowing at all. I mean, and there's not a leaf on that tree that's even moving. No wind at all. Okay, let's take a balloon and let it go. Some days it'll float north, some days it'll float south, some days it'll float east, some days it'll float west. So the Earth apparently has no, what do you want to call it? Has nothing to do with this balloon that went up there. It has no effect on that balloon whatsoever. Okay, do we all agree on that? Now, what about a volcano, guys? Anybody ever seen a volcano spew out a bunch of ash? Sometimes that ash goes straight up. Now if the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour and there's any kind of wind or air, okay, that ash, when it goes 10, 15 miles up into the sky or higher, you think that ash would be bending backwards or would be flowing backwards if the Earth spins from west to east? This is the Earth is spinning east. So you would think that every volcano, the ash would be going backwards, but sometimes in volcanoes the ash goes straight up, it doesn't even go. Sometimes again it'll go north, it'll go south, it depends on which way the wind is blowing, and if there's no wind at all, that ash just goes straight on up. Okay? So, using your common sense, everything I've said so far, is the Earth spinning 1,000 miles? Okay, now, all the oceans that are being held down, all that water, okay, supposedly by gravity. Do you realize how much gravity it would take to hold the oceans in place? To hold all the lakes and rivers in place? Do you understand how much gravity that would be? But yet, you and I, if there's that much gravity on the Earth, it would seem to me that you and I would be pinned to the ground, not able to move. But that's not the case. I don't feel any gravity. I mean, I can jump in the air a couple feet, 2, 3 feet. Yeah, I come back down. But that just shows me what? That if there is gravity, it's not that much. I am able to jump in the air. Okay? But yet oceans and rivers and lakes are being held down by extreme amounts of gravity, according to NASA, according to your government, according to scientists. Now here's another point. Before I get to my last point, 2 more points. Why would your government lie to you about the Earth being just a little speck of dust, okay, in the universe? Okay, when the Bible actually has many, many scriptures that seem to say that the Earth is flat with 4 corners, the circle of the Earth. Anyway, guys, I can go on and on about that. Actually, I have a video of some guy. He's a pilot. And he thought for years that the Earth was round because he was brainwashed with that. And then one day, he was approached and he was asked a question about the Earth being flat. This guy's brilliant. He's got, I don't know how many degrees and how many colleges. And I mean, he's got a PhD in this. He's got a PhD in that. I mean, the guy's a really smart guy. And it dawned on him, because he's also an airliner pilot. It dawned on him one day that the earth is flat. And I'll find the video, I'll put it down below. You guys check it out. You know, listen to him and see what he says. He thinks it's flat. So do I, actually. Okay, so anyway, guys, why would NASA want you, why would your government want you to think, why would Satan want you to think that the earth is nothing but an insignificant speck of dust in the universe? Okay, because people who would think that would think, well, why would God put so much attention on a speck of dust? Okay, here's a speck of dust floating out in the universe, and if you read the Bible, God is putting a very, 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 very large amount of attention on a little speck of dust. Okay, so we got a problem here. Either God is putting a lot of attention on something much larger, perhaps even the center of the universe, and maybe the sun and the moon is within our dome, okay, or the government's lying to you. Okay, so Satan's job would be to convince you and lie to you and use his little minion governments to tell you that you're just on a little speck of dust. Now, the Bible paints a different picture. You're on something much larger. You're on something that God made. Okay, God didn't make a speck of dust. God took some time and he made a planet, man. He made the earth with all the foundations and everything in it. And he loaded it up with life. Beautiful, beautiful. Man, you guys, you don't realize how big the earth is. They can drill, I don't know what it was, 30, 40, 50, 100 miles down until they start hitting rock that is so hard they can't even drill no more. That's how deep the earth is. Okay? It's huge. It's maybe a lot bigger than what you think. I think it's the center of the universe myself. Okay? Biblically, that's what I think. Okay, guys, now my last point that I'm going to make here, and I'm going to let you go. I'm into this 12 minutes. I overdid my time. Airplanes. Okay, now, here's the real proof that I want to use. An airplane. Okay, how much does an airplane weigh? 20 tons, 15 tons, 30 tons? I'm not sure. They're pretty damn heavy. Now, once an airplane is on the earth, you're attached to an object that is spinning 1,000 miles an hour, supposedly. Okay, once a spaceship or a rocket goes up, okay, the earth is spinning underneath it, according to NASA, according to your government, according to what they're showing you or lying to you about. Okay, now once an airplane goes up 20,000 feet, once that airplane leaves the surface of the earth, okay, it is no longer attached to a spinning object. So in other words now, if you're looking at this airplane and that runway is straight and that airplane takes off and he gets up in the air and starts flying up in the air and he's about 1,000 to 5,000 feet up in the air now, since you're attached to the earth, within 1 minute you should be 7 miles to the east already, way out of vision, line of sight of that airplane. That airplane should disappear west within about 1 minute. I mean disappear. Boom, it's gone. Okay? That's exactly what it should be, because there's no way, if the earth isn't dragging the clouds and it's not dragging an umbrella or a balloon or the volcano smoke or anything else, and it sure isn't going to drag an airplane and hold it like a magnet. Okay, so now here's one more point I want to make. So like I say now, within 7 minutes, not 7 minutes, within 1 minute, you should be 7 miles east and that airplane should no longer be in your line of sight. It should almost disappear instantly, but they don't. If you watch an airplane take off down that runway, it goes up in the air and you can sit there and watch it for whatever, 10 minutes until it finally disappears out of your sight. Okay? Now, another thing, one more point on the airplane. If an airplane travels north, south, east, or west, let's say 500 miles each way, it gets there in the same amount of time, guys. Okay, there's no difference in the timeline. And if the earth is spinning underneath the airplane, there would be a big difference. Okay, because if the earth is spinning east and the airplane is flying west, okay, that airplane should make it to its destination within a quarter of the time, because that airplane goes about 500, 600 miles an hour. So if the earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour along with it, underneath it, okay, it should make it there in half the time, if a quarter of the time, or whatever it is. But you don't see that either, do you? Okay, so if an airplane, let's say it's flying 500 miles south, 500 miles north, 500 miles east, 500 miles west, each single time, no matter where it's headed, it'll make that 500 miles within the same exact time. So there is no difference. So what does that tell you? That tells you that there is nothing spinning underneath that airplane. Nothing. Zero. Okay? The earth is flat. It is motionless. The sun and the moon are going around inside the dome. That's what I think. Okay? And again, this is not a biblical scripture. You're not going to hell if you don't get this right. But it sure is interesting when you look and use your common sense. Now, I'm going to find that video and I'm going to put it down below. Watch it. This guy is brilliant. Again, he has college degrees. He used to work for the government. He worked for other governments. He's an airline pilot and the whole 9 yards. Very, very, very intelligent. And listen to his story. It's very good. Anyway, guys, flat earth, I'd go with it. But anyway, peace out. God bless. Take care. Watch that video.